Today we are working on estimation. Please copy the standard benchmark indicator on a clean page in your math notebook. The student will choose an appropriate estimation strategy to fit a given situation. Estimating sums and differences. Kenny collects basketball cards. He trades and purchases cards often. Below is a table showing his total collection over 4 months. Estimate the number of cards he collected during the 4th month. You can estimate by rounding. Step 1. Round the total number of cards in Kenny's collection for the 3rd and 4th months to the nearest hundred. So 1071 rounds to 1100. 765 rounds to 800. Step 2. Subtract. 1100 minus 800 is 300. So Kenny collected about 300 baseball cards during the 4th month. Example 2. Estimate 154 divided by 38 using compatible numbers. Step 1. Decide which numbers go together easily. Think, 154 is about 160 and 38 is about 40. So 160 divided by 40 is 4. Because if you go back to your division fact, 16 divided by 4 is 4. So 160 divided by 40 is also 4. So step 2, where you substitute the compatible numbers, then you find the quotient. So 154 divided by 38 is about 4. So addition, subtraction, multiplication, you can use rounding to estimate. Division, you have to use compatible numbers. Sometimes the numbers are going to round up there, and it will work out just fine. 38 rounds to 40 very nicely. 154 does not actually round to 160. However, we're trying to find numbers that we can divide in using our brain and not have to write down. So we know 16 divided by 4, so we can do 160 divided by 40. So compatible numbers are a little tricky because you have to find the closest division fact that matches the problem. And we'll practice that, and it'll become easier with more practice. All right, so we're going to work through some estimation problems. It's important when you're estimating to write down the numbers that you're rounding to, because there is more than one way to round. As long as you can do it in your head, it's an okay way to estimate. However, you may not do it the exact way I do it, and that's okay, but you need to write the numbers down so I can see what you used, so I can make sure it's a correct way to estimate. So in number 1, we're going to be rounding to the nearest hundred. So they rounded 1,348 to 1,300. We're going to round 279 to 300. And then all we have to do here is add 1,300 plus 300, which it gets us 1,600. We're going to round to the nearest hundred for these as well. So 428 rounds to 400. 171 rounds to 200. And 400 minus 200 gives us 200. For number 3, we can probably round to the nearest 10 and still be able to do it in our head. So we're going to round 631 to 630 and 232 to 230. And our estimated answer is 860. For 4, we're also going to round to the nearest tens. We have 733 rounds to 730, 532 rounds to 530. And so our answer for our estimated is 200. Make sure when you're doing estimation, you round the numbers off first and then solve. Sometimes students solve the problem and round the answer. That's not estimating, that's just rounding your answer. And that's not what we're asking you to do. We want you to check the estimate ahead of time so that when you do the actual problem, you have something to gauge whether your answer makes sense or not. So please round the numbers first and then solve for the estimation. For 5, we're going to round 86 to 90 and 402 to 400. Now, the nice thing with multiplying is we can multiply the 9 times 4, which gets us 36, and then just add the 3 zeros from the 2 factors. So we get 36,000. The whole point of estimation is that it is easy to do in your head because it's just a quick check. For 6, we're also going to round off to the nearest 10. So we're around 77 to 80 and 21 to 20. Then we multiply 2 times 8 gets us 16, and then we need to add 2 zeros because there's 1 zero in each factor. So we get 1,600 as our answer. For number 7, we have 536 divided by 51. So since it's division, we need to use compatible numbers. So the first thing we do is we're going to round the 51 off to 50. Next, we're going to look at what is closest to 536 that 50 goes into. So it could be 500, it could be 550. 550 is slightly closer to 536, so we're going to use that as our compatible number. And 50 goes into 550 11 times. For number 8, we have 252 divided by 61, so the first thing we're going to do is round off the 61 to 60. Then we're going to look at what's closest to 252 that 60 would go into. Well, we know that 6 will go into 24 and 30, so 60 will go into 240 or 300. 240 is closer, so we're going to use that as our compatible number. So then 240 divided by 60 gets us 4 because 24 divided by 6 is 4. So make sure when you're estimating, there should be problems that you can easily do in your head. And when you're using compatible numbers, you're looking for the closest division fact that will fit the problem. Please make sure you've copied down all the work and glue this page in your math notebook.